All right, I think we should just begin in the beginning.
Okay.
A long time ago. Probably, was it like January of 2024? When did we meet?
No, we did not meet until April.
April, see it. Shows how well I remember stuff.
We met in April, and I had Content Sparring launched, and I was making like 20K in like June because of it. So,
But we met in April, and you were just kind of like, I'm trying to figure this thing out. I'm not like really sure what it is.
uh-huh.
And I feel like you didn't even consider, or you were considering services, but you had this like one vision of what a service could look like at that time. And then I was like, it could literally be anything you want. There are no rules. And you were like, there's no fucking rules.
I thought I
Right.
had to, well, everyone up to that point was giving me the advice that I had to pick a lane. Like I had to either be the content person for solos and entrepreneurs or for B2B teams. I couldn't be both. It was going to be too confusing. Which I ended up eventually getting there on my own anyway. But like that was the advice. I was like, it wasn't like start with the problem you solve and any of the stuff that you teach. It was like pick your lane first. And I just was stuck for months because that wasn't helpful advice. Like I couldn't. Starting by picking a lane is not where you start. But I didn't know that.
Well, you were like, I don't want to niche down.
Yeah.
And I was like, you already did. I was like, what are you talking about? You have all these resources for writers. Like you have the Hooks course, you had Editing 101. Launch content hadn't come out yet.
Yeah.
You had another. What was the other course? There's 3. Or were those the only 2?
I had long to short too.
Long to short just came out. That's what it was.
Yeah.
That had just come out. I was like, yeah, you're in a niche. You have done it. And you were like, I want to make some services because the launch. So this is the thing that people don't get about courses. And you've been very vocal about it. And no one else seems to want to say the truth, which is it's fucking hard. Making courses is a skill which you have, I think, mastered. But making a living off of them forever is fucking hard.
Fucking hard. You have to keep in order to make a living off of courses forever, you need to have like the most dialed in and a trillion of them, like funnels and automation sequences, so that anyone that comes into your world is like automatically put into some type of a squeeze where it's like all this shit's going on. So,
but people see Justin Welsh and they go, well, the dude's got one course. He eventually added a second course. It was like the LinkedIn OS. $150, does $1 million a year.
Yeah, but
like that is like the thing that people look at it and they're like, why can't I do that?
Yeah. In order to do that, like you need to continuously fucking add to the top of the funnel. It is a top of funnel audience building game. And
right, he's a
like
he has like a furious amount of content.
Yeah.
Coming out of LinkedIn and Twitter. Like several tweets a day, several LinkedIn posts a day now.
Yeah.
Traffic is insane.
But that's what you need. Like you need that level of traffic, and that level of traffic is super hard to attain. It's exhausting. And honestly, like this is the other part a lot of people don't say out loud. Like it's really just like fucking grueling and kind of like boring to just like talk about the same one thing at the top of funnel level all the time and bringing people into this list and then like squeezing them endlessly. It just like for me, that wasn't going to work. It's not going to work.
I don't think it's realistic for most people.
Yeah,
like, I think
it's just
people
not realistic.
should have a course.
I love my courses. I just made like $600 this morning. I just opened my email and was like, nice. Someone bought 2 courses. Like, great.
Perfect.
Like,
right?
that's great. Like, for me now, courses are like super fun money, you know? but like, holy shit, if I had to rely on that for my entire income, like you are squeezing thousands of people a day, just like hoping they give you 150 bucks here, 150 bucks there. Like it's exhausting. It's so much easier mentally and like time wise to just have like a higher ticket service that you can sell to a few people. That's your sustainable revenue. And the
Well, the
courses and
maths.
everything else, like it's a good offer. It's a great offer. It's great fun money. Like I don't know. I'm not saying this like courses cannot work for you, but like Justin Welsh is the absolute like it's an
Exception.
exception. Like
Yeah. So then we built content sparring. Like one day you were just like someone reached out asking for a sparring partner. They wanted to have someone to like help them like work out their content. They asked for a sparring partner, and we were just like content sparring. Like that's what they want. And we're
yeah.
like, holy shit, that's it. That's the thing. And it was like literally that stupid of a realization that we had. And this is the thing that people don't get. They think it's like some like you're struck by lightning while you're walking the dog and you're like, oh my gosh, content sparring. Like this is the thing. I mean, like maybe that could happen, but the odds of it happening, you're gonna stumble into it and you're gonna be like, whoa,
Hmm.
whoa, holy shit. That's a thing. And it happens kind of like over time. Like you were talking about building a one-to-one service and you were like, I think I'm just gonna like help people like live edit. Like you were calling it like live editing for a while.
Hmm.
And then it kind of evolved into this thing. I think that progression is something that people don't realize happens because then they look at you and they go, how did Erica got content sparring? That's just so cool. They're like, damn, I want that. Like, how come? And then people message you and like, can I steal this? And you're like, why would you ever send that message?
No,
But
don't ever. Don't try.
like, I shared this story with someone earlier today, but I think it's worth sharing again, which is Elise LeMay. She's like the perfect prototype for all of this.
Hmm.
We've been talking about this idea of like creator indifference for a really long time, and we were talking about like what is the difference between creators that people love and have this affinity towards, and what is the difference with people that don't? And it's not virality. No one really wants that. I think everyone universally agrees that going viral is actually a really bad thing, and a really like harmful thing to your mental health and a variety of other things.
Hmm.
And she was like, well, they have this like kind of gravity to them. And it was like one moment to the next was like, oh, you just said a thing. And if we weren't here kind of chopping it up, no one would have been like, pause on that. Like, you got to stop right there. What did you just say?
Hmm.
And she was like, I don't know. I think I just kind of like got to aerate this idea. And then she just wrote about it a little bit. And people were like, that's an interesting concept. What else you got? And she wrote about it a little bit more. She made a little diagram on Excalidraw. And it's like, no one births a perfect little like idea baby and everything's great. So,
Dude, similar. Amanda Natividad has spoken publicly about how she was just like chatting with Rand one day and was like, I don't know, like blah blah blah, zero click content, and he was like, "What did you just say?" Like,
yes, I've heard her share that
yeah,
story for sure. It's just like, oh, like, and you don't realize that you said it. Like Rand had to
exactly.
stop her and be like, "What did you just say? I need you to explain what that is because that sounds like the thing that everyone's been trying to say for a really long time." And so Elise is doing it. You did it. I think this is a really important thing that people don't see how the sausage is made oftentimes,
Hmm.
and but they're just like, how did you get some sausage?
Yeah.
How did you get that?
The
So I
coolest
think
thing
that's
too is
important.
like I didn't like, it was a potential customer. Like it was a content sparring is literal voice of customer. Like every voice of customer person should just use this example. Like somebody asked me if I spar and I was like, "Oh, content sparring sounds way more interesting." And it opens up the world for like what's possible to fit underneath that umbrella way
Hmm.
more than the phrase live editing or like writing coaching, because those have these specific words. Like writing and editing are one specific part of the process. Whereas content, I mean, I know people have their feelings about the word content, but like it gives you the ability to do all parts of content, like
Right.
strategy, execution, all that shit. Like I was limiting myself by saying I'm just going to live edit your stuff. Like that minimizes the value potential and what we can do together.
That and live editing is so well defined. I know a lot of people feel a certain way about being like making stuff up, but content sparring are two different things that people understand what they are.
Hmm.
Live editing is a thing that people already understand what they are. It's one thing that people understand what it is. So when you say content sparring, it stops people enough to go, I know what content is, I know what sparring is, and I've never thought about the idea of having a content sparring partner. Because if I were to, because in the world of actual sparring, the point is you want to roll with people who are ahead of you so that you get better.
Hmm. It's so
It's
simple.
this mental scaffolding is kind of built
Hmm.
into the languaging, and not enough people are willing. Well, I think enough people are willing to recognize it because now people are asking you to steal it. But anyway, so I want to move past this though,
Yeah.
because I want to move past this to the part where uh, people have been like, "Why full stack? Why did you do this? Why would Erica choose you? Why would Erica choose to work with you?"
Of all the fucking people that
Of
Erica
all the
could have
people out there that have significantly more influence, why you? And I think one of the things we realized pretty quickly after you had closed a bunch of clients and you were like, some people are really good fits for these reasons, and some people I closed and they turned out to not be a great fit for these reasons. And I was like, it's really funny that I see the exact same problem, but in the obverse.
chosen.
So that problem, which is we've spoken about publicly before, but that problem was if they come to you and they have a well-defined offer, content sparring becomes infinitely more effective. They can just make way more money because they have something to sell.
Hmm.
Makes sense. People who come to you and they're like, I want a sparring partner because I want to be a better writer. Sure, they can be good fits in that way, but when the rubber meets the road 3, 4, 5 months down the line, it's like they don't have a lot to show for it other than personal growth, which is great, but it doesn't really feed. It's hard to like continue to make an investment in something when you're not seeing that ROI in the
Totally.
dollar signs. And
Yeah.
then for me, every time we'd make great offers, people who had content engines built and they were like pretty good at the content game, they'd be like, this is too easy to make money now. And the people who didn't, I'm like banging my head against the wall trying to figure out like, why can't I get you to do the thing? Why can't, and it's not my zone of genius. And then one day, so you were telling me this, and I was like, this sounds a lot like the same problem I'm having. You're just like on the other end of it. And so we're like, okay, well, what if you just did this thing and I just did this other thing and we did them at the same time?
It was a crazy moment when you brought like if we had
You
like
didn't believe me. You were like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do
I didn't well first hold on like I've been it's not that I didn't believe you, it's just that I was really scared of the idea of doing group coaching or a community because I did it with the wrong person last time and I was like it's hard like when you work with someone in this capacity, like it has to vibe. So I needed to make sure we had the right vibe. So
This is fair. This is fair.
however, let me give a few examples though, because this was such a pivotal moment. I started like noodling on this, and I was thinking about my content sparring clients who I was working with, and there was this one person, Allie, and she had wanted to create an email sequence, like a lead magnet to email sequence flow. Not an educational email sequence. It was kind of like you get the lead magnet, and then this email sequence is going to help you use the lead magnet to the best of your ability. And by the end of it, like you'll want to work with me more. It's kind of in it. It was like a mixture of an EEC, whatever. She's wanted to write this for 2 years. She sees my offer, and she's like, "You're going to be the person that's going to help me finally write this sequence." I'm like, "Great." We get on our calls, best calls ever. Like great vibes. We're getting through the sequence. Like all my edits are helping her unlock other things. Like we finished the sequence a couple months later. Like, everything's good. And then I'm like, cool. Are you gonna launch? Are you ready to launch it? Like, let's get this out there. And she was like, like I don't know where I want to send people to at the end of the sequence. I've got like 20 options. Like, I could do this workshop. I could do this like one-to-one thing. I could go in and do that thing. I could do that thing. And I was like, okay. So I was trying to talk to her about it. And I realized in that moment, like, this is exactly what Nick's talking about. Like, it was happening with my clients. Now that you had said something, I was like, okay. And I mentioned to her, I was like, you need to work with Nick. And I explained who you were. And she was like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. And I was like, yeah, like, you've come to the end of the road with me. Like, we've done your content, but like, you don't actually have the offer to send it to people. Like, it's not gonna work. It's just not. You gotta aerate that first, because I can give you advice, but I'm not like, that's not my expertise.
Yeah. Getting to the end of the road of your like lane or your zone of genius is a humbling experience
Yeah,
where I'm like I really want to see this thing through and I really want you to like get all the way there, and then I'm like I got nothing. I got no gas left in the tank at some point. Like
yeah,
I can give you some lightweight content advice because I could just all I'm gonna do is tell you what worked for me.
yeah,
That's all I'm gonna do. Like this is how I did it, and it's pretty basic. It's nothing crazy. But I'm not gonna be able to sit there and like help you craft a hook and all that good stuff. So that was definitely a humbling experience. I think one of the things that was hard for us to figure out, which I think in looking at it right now, it seems like it was easy, but it was hard for us to figure out what are the mechanics of the offer that like became full stack. Like how do we deliver this thing? The people we serve aren't going to pay $6,000 or $7,000 a month to work with us both, and the timeline compression is also kind of too short. Like most people kind of need the thing wrapped up in one because it's not like work with Nick for 6 months and then work with me for 6 months, and like because then a year has gone by. Like things are more urgent than that. And we're like,
yeah.
how do we figure this out? And I don't remember how we decided like group coaching was kind of the way to do it. Do you remember how we did this?
Kind of, because I was watching our Fathom recordings recently, trying to figure out why. Like, I was trying to figure all this shit out for content, because that's where my brain goes. I'm actually still in the process of writing that up. But basically, like, we had a couple friends that have communities and a little bit of group coaching, and we're part of some communities. And you were thinking about a couple other communities that you either joined or wanted to join. Like, we were just chatting about all the shit that people who solve similar problems, like adjacent problems, do. You know, like Creator Kitchen, um,
Creator science.
Creator Science. Yeah, like all those things. And we're like, okay, like we don't want it to be a straight up community though. Like
Yeah.
it's not gonna be super useful if it's just,
I was
hey,
very
like,
against that.
yeah, very
I
good.
was like,
I was
no
so good.
community at
Yeah, like
all.
first we were like, there's not even gonna be a place where these people can even talk to each other. Like,
Yeah, I was like nothing, like nothing. If they want to start their own side Slack channel, they could do that. But like, I do not want to do this whatsoever.
yeah. I'm glad we caved on that and we talked to people, because I think it's really valuable. But yeah, we came to the group coaching because that's when we realized that's going to be the most impactful. But you already had your program like mapped out. And so, oh, so sorry, 1 second. All good. Um, so you already had your program mapped out, like you had a whole workbook, and you were like, what if people just kind of go through this thing, and then that's what they come to the group coaching to talk about. And that's sort of how we started to think about the okay, self-paced plus group coaching. So then it was just on me to make content sparring productized in a way that I hadn't thought about before. And that was a crazy brain exercise. And that unlocked a lot of new shit for me too.
There's this idea that the offer's right the first time. Like when we first did it, we called it a hybrid digital product because we were trying to bridge the gap between a fully asynchronous course where you just take it and or don't take it, like you buy it and you don't take it, which is what courses are, or it's a full-fledged like community or membership based thing, or even like a private service that's way more expensive. And I felt like there wasn't a lot of things in between that anchored you in a curriculum. And we didn't want to do cohort either. Like there's too many, the cohort's a really aggressive launch cycle and all this other stuff. I was like, I don't want to do it that way. I want to just be in open enrollment so that I think it'll just smooth out. Like we do other stuff with our life, like to be able to try and launch a cohort and fill it and manage an existing portfolio of clients just seemed like it was way too much. Like I host my own show. I try to create content all the time. Like it's just too much shit. And we were like, oh, this is just actually called group coaching. This is just what group coaching is. Let's just call it that because that's what people know, people understand. And it's like, so the positioning of it got rapidly refined. But like we launched with something that we were like, this is pretty good. We knew it wasn't right or like perfect, but it was good enough. And then we launched and immediately, I think we updated the positioning of that thing probably 10 times a day
Mm-hmm.
for 3 weeks
Mm-hmm.
until we hired Emily to fix the site because we're like, okay, we finally got it. Let's have her update the site so it doesn't look like Nick does not know how to web design a site. Like, let's just update. Let's have her make it look cool, and we kind of locked that in at where we are now.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is such an important point because everyone thinks the copy has to be perfect, the idea has to be perfect. I therefore will not do anything until it's perfect. And that I cannot stress enough how backwards that is. Like, get the thing out there, listen to people, ask them why they didn't buy, like take those no's seriously, and then figure out, okay, like what can I change? There was some really interesting stuff happened actually with in conversations I had where people told me, "Hey, literally last week you sent an email and I was like, this isn't for me." And then yesterday you sent an email with updated positioning and I was like, "Oh, maybe it's for me." And then we had a sales call and then they closed. So like
Yep.
there's nothing on the back end that has necessarily changed. Although we will get to a point where we continue to tweak the back end, but it hasn't changed that much like once you get inside so
Yeah.
far.
The core structure of the program is exactly the same. There's like
Yeah.
we made some updates to things to make it easier to like work through, but I mean, we realized though because good fit people were telling us it's not for me. And we were like, how is it possible? Like we felt like we lined this up perfectly. And they were like, here are all the reasons. The best thing we ever did to move this program forward, which I was against, and you were like, let's just try it and see what happens, which was the sales calls. Running those like, I'm not sure if this is for me call, like let's just jam about it. That doubled enrollment. Easily
Yeah.
doubled enrollment. And it has probably been one of the most impactful things we've done outside of just dialing in the actual webpage copy and positioning of this thing.
Yeah. People need to hear from
Just
you,
want to
the
feel like
person
they're
who
seen.
actually made the program. Like, I've read your copy, but like you, human, tell me,
Do I
like,
even
is
like
this right
you?
for? Yeah. Do I even like you? Like, and you said this, but like my response to that is this. So what do you think? Like, doesn't matter how many FAQs you have on your website. Like, sometimes people just need to hear the answer from you, the human,
Yeah.
in a quick chat.
You try to address as many as you can. I would think a good portion of people just purchase touchless, but there is a good portion of people who were like, I want to just kind of get to know you a little bit better and see like, do I like your coaching style?
Yeah.
That was something I didn't really consider. Like, I think I'm a pretty aggressive in my coaching style. Some people don't jive with that. Some people are just like not into that. Some people absolutely love it.
I gotta find this text that I don't want to say the name in case he doesn't want me to say this out loud, but he texted me the other day about your coaching style, and I was like, yeah, trying to be more like him.
Oh no.
Hold on. He
Oh
said,
no.
let's see. We're gonna have
Don't
to
let me
edit
off
this part out,
self-conscious about
but
this.
edit the breakout. Fuck, where is it? I can't find it right now. I will find it. It was basically that you're like extremely like authoritative and like forward, like straightforward, but also like your biggest supporter. And I was like, yeah, that's Nick for sure. And I want to be more like Nick because I love the way he does
Oh,
it.
well, thank you. I think for me, it's like developing as a coach was one of the most important things I felt like I had to do.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so stoked to have Chris Mark come
Yeah.
next week.
Psych. I'm going to read the book this weekend.
Yeah. It's just like I've learned so much from him on just how to develop as a coach. And I think that's an underrated skill in our business for sure.
Hugely,
But I've done
hugely.
this, I've been doing this for a year and a half dedicated for a year and a half. I've been doing this type of work for longer than that, just internally in
Yeah.
trying to get people to buy in to your ideas and stuff. So coming into your own as a coach and spending some time just flexing that muscle goes a really, really long way. But I think there's one other component to all of this that most people don't realize, which is me creating offers wasn't always the thing.
Yeah.
The thing was niche down. And no one wanted to hear you need to niche down. Or like people wanted to hear it, but they didn't necessarily want to invest in it. There's a lot of scary shit that goes in with niching down, but creating an offer, they're like, they can see the connection between creating an offer and making money. They can't see the connection between niching down and making money in a super direct way. So once I aerated the idea and people were like, offers the thing, you move offer to the top of the list, and then all of a sudden you start to make more money. And I don't think enough people are willing to do that. Like, so the way that you were like live editing, and then you were like, how about we call it this other thing and talk about it in this way? And it's like, same thing. Nothing mechanically has changed about the way that you interface with your clients, other than the way that you talk about it.
Yep.
And this is why I'm so passionate about this idea of like, how do you help people perceive the thing that they're looking at?
What do you call it? Slotting?
Slotting. I got to write a course, like a training on this idea of slotting.
It's so powerful because you're right. There's nothing about content sparring as it is that's different than it's live editing with like strategy before the editing and strategy throughout. But essentially, you like once we've got your strategy or I understand your strategy as you see it, you're bringing content to the call and we're chatting through it.
Yeah.
Um,
Slotting is a positioning exercise, and
Yeah.
it's really, really simple. There are like a few things that you need to frame a problem. There are symptoms of the problem. There are reasons the problem exists. There are ramifications of the problem going unsolved, and then there is the actual articulation of the problem itself. And oftentimes, like the one-liner of the problem itself is not nearly as compelling or necessary as all of those things that surround it. You don't need to name it. Naming is a really powerful thing you can do to make the problem just that much hit that much harder. But if you nail that problem scaffolding, like reasons why it exists, the symptoms of it, ramifications of it going unsolved, like all of those things, you're going to be able to you're going to get really, really far really, really fast. But the problem that people face is that when they do this, they kind of just like lock it in as it is. And they go, well, I got it all wrong. I need to blow it up. I need to start over from scratch. And the thing is not starting over from scratch. It's just taking a ramification and reframing it as a reason why the problem exists, and it changes the entire perception of the program. It's such a small little thing that you can do, and you're just like, oh, like the reason you don't have an offer is because you haven't niched down. It's not like, well, it's not like you need an offer in order to niche down. Like you just switch the order. You literally slot one on top of the other. And then you tell people that thing and they go, that made a lot more sense to me. And you go, I'm going to say that every time.
Yep. And then the other layers that you touch on in your skill and then I carry the torch in skill too is like, what's my actual point of view and opinion on the problem? Like you have to go there too. It's not just like problem exists for reason and like symptoms. Like, okay, cool. Anyone can say that. Why do you feel a type of way? And how is your life experience and your point of view dealing with this problem? Like, how are you going to aerate that to people? Because there's so much that happens in the decision-making progress where it's like, I like the way that this person talks about this problem and the experiences that they bring to it way more than this person who solves a similar problem. And a lot of it comes down to like how you see the world.
This could not be more important. This could not be more important of a thing because I always ask the question, I think it's one of the most important questions in business, which is how do you want to grow? Because if people don't opt into the way that you want them to grow, they're never going to buy the thing. They're never going to buy you into your offer. So like, there's a lot of people out there trying to solve like the your content sucks problem. A lot of people out there are trying to do it. And The difference is not that you need a particularly novel problem or a radically different problem, but how you solve it is really where you're going to win. So if in the job is how do you make that problem highly visible to people and get them to see your point of view? So having one's really important. So here's a super simple example. These are some friends. So John Benini runs a company called Content Brands. He solves the no, your content sucks problem, basically. He calls it undifferentiated content. He says your content's undifferentiated. Nobody cares when you hit publish. Here's all these things. The way to solve that, if you agree with the way that I see this problem, here are a bunch of examples of people who have solved it. And this is how I see it. It's called becoming a content brand. And if you do these things, people will give a shit when you hit publish and you make a bunch more money. People are like, cool. If you agree with that and you're into that, you have affinity towards him, you're going to say, John, I want to become a content brand. Can you help me? But then you have someone like Aaron Balsa who says, your content sucks and nobody cares when you hit publish because your content is bland, right? And it's a different positioning, a different way of articulating the same thing. No one cares about your content, what John calls undifferentiated. So they define these things in a little different way. They show how it shows up in different ways. But what Erin does is says, she goes, it's not that you need to do anything crazy. You just need to be bold. Here's the recipe to be bold. If you want to be bold, then you need me. If you want to become a content brand, then you need John. So then people have to decide, how do they want to grow their business? Do I want to be a more bold company and a more bold brand and follow the Aaron Balsa route, or do I want to follow the John Benini route and become a content brand? There's no right or wrong answer. This is the whole point. There's no competition anymore. These are categorically different things.
Mm-hmm.
And people they're like, oh, there's so many people out there. There's so much competition here. There is, if you're just I'll help your content. I'll show you how to write gooder content on LinkedIn. Then yeah, no one's going to give a shit because there are people like John Benini and Aaron Balsa out there being trying to lead you into a future. They're trying to lead you somewhere and show you something. And if you agree with the way that Aaron wants you to do it, you don't want to work with John because it's a categorically different thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
This is why point of view matters so much.
This
is what I'm trying to say. This is why point of view matters so much. And they're exceptional at aerating their point of view in a way that makes the problem as they see it highly visible.
Yes.
If you can't do that, no one gives a shit about being bold or becoming a content brand because all you're doing is saying, Christopher Lochhead says this all the time, and I've adopted it as my own mantra, which is you market your solution, I think you want my money. If you market my problem, I think you want to help me.
Yep.
And this is the difference between the two people we're talking about and everybody else who's just look at all of my frameworks.
Totally. And then when you look at content sparring, I'm talking to people who have been writing content for a while. They understand the ups and downs of the process and they've hit some sort of a plateau and they need to aerate their thoughts with a thought partner, someone who's been there, who gets it, and who happens to have the skills of okay, now you're going to change it to say exactly this on a call. And so I'm not targeting companies. I'm targeting people. You can work at a company or not, but I'm targeting the person, not the brand.
Yep.
And my point of view is if you don't understand the importance of developing that personality in your content and speaking through ideas, through the art of editing, then you're not going to ever get to the place. And also following signals and just all the shit. And it's not a competition, even though we're all doing a similar thing. We're all trying to make content better, but it's
you showed people your ability to articulate their problem better than they can is why you win, right? Mm-hmm. It's why any of us win deals. So if you were to show up and you get people to see the reason that it's not that you suck, it's not that you're dumb, it's not that that's not that you don't have good ideas. It's that you've just hit the plateau. Mm-hmm. Everybody hits the plateau. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. You kind of feel like you're just a little out of gas. And for all these reasons that you described, you haven't had a thought partner to exercise these ideas and aerate them.
Yep.
This is what the plateau is. And they go, that's where I am.
Yeah.
What do I do about it? How do I overcome the content plateau? You need a content sparring partner. Yeah. It's duh. You've articulated this problem. You've made it visible to me. I haven't named my problem, but I just tell people, look, most solopreneurs can't tell you what they do or how they do it. And they go, that's me.
It's just the
I
Nick.
did
It's
that.
just
How do I
The
undo
Nick
that?
brand.
How do I get to that? How do I solve that problem? I go, won't we create you an offer? And they go, duh. Duh. That made so much sense. I can't believe, like, I knew I needed that. I never connected the two things together, though.
Mhm.
That being able to create an offer allows me to solve this problem. People think I need, messaging, or I need, like, find my zone and all whatever all the things are. It's like, no, you just need an offer, because that'll shrink all of it down into its most basic form.
Mhm.
So like, you don't need to name it. Naming it helps a lot. And if, for someone who tells people to name all their problems and do all this stuff and helps people do it, I haven't done it myself, but whatever. Like, it's just proof that's not a requirement in order to win.
Totally. And it's also like you just went out and did the thing without stressing about it making it fucking perfect, you know? Like,
This is the thing.
yeah, you'll name it eventually if you want to name it. Like,
Yeah. I also did it for free a lot. And I still do it for free a lot right now, in varying ways, in like varying capacities.
mhm.
Like, this is the other thing. People are like, oh, I gotta value my time. Yes, like, your time is important and all this stuff. But if you're trying to figure things out, imposter syndrome, you're gonna feel like an imposter if you're charging people for something you've never done before.
Mhm.
You're not gonna feel like an imposter if you're like, hey, I'm running this new program and I want to work with some people on it. I'm willing to do it for free to get some honest feedback. And if it works well for you, can I get a testimonial? That goes a really, really long way. That's how I did the first several of my own engagements before I started charging people like $500 fucking dollars a month. Like, nothing. I was charging people nothing because I was trying to figure this out. And I would improve my curriculum every single day.
Mhm. Yeah.
I ended up having like 15 people I was working with for like $500 to $1,000 a month, trying to get this thing to the where it would just hit every single time.
Yeah.
Got it there. Now it's become full stack. Now it allows me to increase the rates of my private coaching services. It allows us to create the super ding dong offer that's like 30 grand if you just want us to do it for you, which I think we should call the offer launch playbook.
Hell yeah.
I was like, duh, this hit me the other day. I was like, this is the offer launch playbook where
You're so good at naming things for other people, Nick.
yeah, clearly. I was like, I create the offer, you create the launch, and here's the whole thing.
Yeah.
But that's like the super ding dong $40,000 offer. It's like, all it does, and if people buy it, great. Some people have bought it, but some people are gonna be like, oh, it helps me understand how much the one-to-one stuff is really worth, like the coaching aspect of this
Yeah.
versus the group coaching aspect of this.
For real.
We can get into good, better, best forever
Yeah.
and spend a million hours there. But I think this is like a good dip your toe in the water of like how we got here
Yeah.
and like why we're even here in the first place.
100%. It feels like a natural place to end. I was going to also just quickly say I also did a lot of free stuff, but it was different than your experience. I've been networking like crazy for years, which should probably be the subject of our next podcast because
Yes.
that's also so important. And in the process of making quote unquote friends with strangers on the internet, they would DM me and be like, hey, like, can you check my hook? Or like, what do you think of this post?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, like, if we've had conversations and you're not a complete stranger, I responded with my thoughts. Like,
Yep.
and then pay attention to like what's working, what's not working. Like, I did that for like a year before I wrote my first course on hooks. Like, I'd been giving feedback on hooks for so long before I made a hooks course. And like, when I launched content sparring, I launched it for 1,000 because I had like I had my audience. Like, I wasn't going to do it for free when I started. But, now I've upped it to 2,000 and now I'm like, all right, it's probably got to be more. It's not enough. But it was the launch price. Like, I've done a launch price for everything I've ever launched. So that's like
Yeah.
another important thing. It doesn't always have to be like the 10K right away.
10K right away.
10K right away.
That was something that struck me when we first met. You were like, I do like 5 networking calls a week
Yeah.
with new people. You meet new people every single week.
Yeah.
And when I talk to people, I'm like, how many people do you meet a week? And they're like, none. And I'm like, get to work. Like, what are you waiting for? Like, go meet people. And they look at, I think there's this like idea that's like, well, Erica has 40,000 followers. Like, it makes sense that she would be able to build a business really quickly. I mean, yes, but content sparring is a relationship based business. All your courses are traffic based businesses. And all of the people who ended up buying content sparring, or the majority of them, are people that you have met
Mm-hmm.
6, 9, 12 months ago. You put in the FaceTime, you met them, you probably kept in touch in some capacity,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's just like, oh, hey, this thing reminded me of you, how you been.
Yeah.
And that's where that business comes from. I work with people today that are telling me the work they put in 6 or 9 months ago, all of those people are coming back being like, hey, I thought a lot about this and we should talk.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, there you go, business opportunity.
Yeah, like I feel like a lot of the people in this group coaching program are of the belief that brand takes time and is a long game. And for some reason, people assume networking needs to equal instant money when it can, but it's also a long game.
Yeah. Well, the I don't believe I'm not part of the cult of the brand, so we can end here. We'll spend time next time talking about networking. I want to talk about the big brand lie, and I want to talk about how much personal branding. Like I'm gonna loop personal branding into that one.
Oof.
I hate
Great
personal
open
branding.
loop. All right, let's close it up.
All right, till next time.